The running room.
How are you?
Good, how about you?
Next week. Next week I'll start.
How are you?
These intakes will go out quick.
I asked about that, and I told him. It's for insurance, we don't always have the figures, but I told him she probably needs to call the contract. So, you know,
Yeah.
so if you wanna hang on to that for next week, do you get an explanation?
That's, yeah, I can check.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order for January 27th, 2021. You will rise. Dear Heavenly Father, I would like to pray for those in this room that will be making decisions for Harrison County today to the best of our skill and judgment. I also would like to pray for all the other individuals in this room as well as those outside these four walls and outside this building. Additionally, I would like to pray for the family of Duck Webster at the loss of him, along with others that have lost family members due to the coronavirus, and those that are currently battling that, are in the hospital or not in the hospital, as well as those facing major surgeries this week. I ask all of this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, 10 a.m. City of Clarksburg Board of Parks Commissioners request to maintain allocation in 2021 budget. And Mr. Cooper is here.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to come up. What we're asking for is a continuation of the $6,000 subsidy for Frank Loria Field that has been in effect for 35 years. And what that does, that allows for the county youth baseball teams to play, as well as the local high school, to play games on Loria Field at no cost. And it helps us reduce our expenditures. The City of Clarksburg, the Park Commission, and Harrison County Commission has been doing this, as I stated, for the past 35 years.
Anybody have any questions of Mr. Cooper?
Yeah.
It's been the same amount since we started.
Originally, it was 4,000, and then about 25 years ago, it went up to 6. And what we have done, the field operates somewhat at a deficit. This year was kind of minor, it was about $2,900. But that was due to we had to replace the mound on the artificial turf field. So what we do is we try to basically break even on the facility. The capital outlay for the artificial turf is not affected by the subsidies. That's paid from a different fund. So we're absorbing that.
I think that we all know that electric hasn't stayed the same for the last 20 years. So I would like to see us increase it to $8,000.
Any discussion on that? You want to put that before in motion?
I'd like to make a motion to increase from 6,000 to 8,000. The request by the City of Clarksburg Park Board for helping with the lights.
Do I need to restate that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. There
Thank
you
you very
go.
much. Very good.
See you, Coop.
Super.
Okay. Is there anybody on Zoom or in the room that wish to speak? Rocky?
Yeah, I'd like to talk to the commission just for a second.
I know Susan, you included in your prayers for everybody going through surgeries. We would like myself and my staff, hope for and pray for a speedy recovery for Charlie.
That's,
The main reason I'm here today is to give kudos to Brian and Johnny for all they've done for us through the email situation and keeping up with everything else we need. They have been invaluable for our office, and I just want the commission to know that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak? Hearing none, we will move forward. Number 2, consent agenda. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve.
Any discussion? Hearing nothing, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Payroll change notices.
We have a few. Mr. Marple is back on the schedule. Mr. Johnson's retirement and Mr. Pruitt and Schaefer promotions.
Do we have the originals somewhere or that are not originals?
Yeah, that's all that we had from the sheriff, and then I have these supporting documents as well that go with them.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, none of those require any action at the commission. I just send those up as part of.
Those are promotions and you have the money in your budget to take care of.
They're all filmed.
Okay, so, and so none of them really require any action. Dave as well, correct?
Correct.
Anybody have any questions about the payroll change notice?
Madam President,
Yes?
Jackie just brought me originals if you'd like to look at them.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure they get to where they need to be quickly. Okay. So we will move on to, we don't have, Jessica notified me that we don't have anything for exonerations of corrective tickets.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
Okay, and nothing for consolidation of land, segregation land, correct?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Number 6, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of cost associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District.
We have,
Series,
oh, sorry.
Series 2015 A and B, Development District Number 3, White Oaks Project Number 2, and Series 2008A, Charles Point Project Number 2, Northland Bay Improvements.
We do have 2. Approval to affix the president's signature. One is for $406.25. Both are Unicap. This is for administrative costs as it pertains to the project. The second one is for $2,831.25. These are just for approval to have your signature, Madam President. They can get paid and I'll get them to Gina.
What is the pleasure of the commission on these?
They should be forward.
Motion to move forward on these requisitions. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. No opposition. Motion carried. She also notified me that there is nothing for number 7, correct?
Correct.
Okay, number 8, review, discuss, consider approval for Harrison County Parks and Recreation to apply for Energy Express AmeriCorps matching grants to have 2 Energy Express sites in Harrison County during summer 2021. Doug and Mike?
We are wanting to apply for Energy Express. We have had Energy Express in Harrison County for 24 years now. This slips up on you. Doesn't it? For anybody unaware, Energy Express is a summer reading program and feeding program. What it was first designed for was that children, students actually lose ground over the summer in their reading skills. Between June and September, they actually lose months of their reading levels. So Energy Express was designed to combat that. We've been in Harrison County. The school board has did last 4 years, they did extra testing, and all of our students either maintained or raised their reading scores. So we've been very successful in that. Energy Express is also, well, it's calling me today. Energy Express is also very good at involving the whole community. There are volunteer projects that are associated with it. The older kids come back, 24 years, they grew up with it. So they come back to help the younger kids. and also gives them something meaningful to do for the summer also. They're with us, they get their meals, you got the whole deal. The community's involved, grandparents, parents, whoever we can get for volunteer efforts for read alouds and anything else in those levels. What it amounts to, this year, we've had up to four sites before. They are in a down funding cycle in the state. So it's going to be very competitive. So we decided for our collaborative, which is made out of 4-H, all kind of different people, school board and everything, that we go for 2 sites. And we go back to Northview. Wilsonburg was a long time site because of that school closing. We thought Wilsonburg kids would be close enough that they can get to Northview. Along with our Parks and Recreation, we offer a whole day. We were there at 7 in the morning for parents to drop off their kids, and then they go to the playgrounds after lunch, and we're there until 5:30. And yes, that might be a little bit taking daycare, but it is stuff that kids need. You know, they've been, especially now with the pandemic, they've been stuck at home so much that it's even more needed for things. The second site would be West Milford. We've been at Lost Creek, but that building is also closing. So the principal of West Milford requested the program, and that gives the Lost Creek kids a chance to come there also. Questions? I don't know how much more detail you want with things. The county's part of it would be, with 40% would be $13,000 for the matching program. It'd be a $45,000 program. And also, you can't forget that we're employing 12 college-age kids, and they get, this could be life-changing for them. We have kids that went into this and they become service. They work for AmeriCorps programs throughout the rest of their life. They become teachers, or they learn that they don't want to be teachers. Either way that works, it's an education for them. So that's in there. Then we have, you just have to see it to believe the volunteer efforts and everybody's involved in it. It really is a community program. Oh yeah, that's to say the kids in Energy Express come as volunteers, and those become mentors when they get to college. So we've had a continuous cycle of people involved in the program.
This is 7 sites.
This is just the 2 sites. This is just for the county for the reading part of it. We still have our summer parks program located throughout the county. Just one thing that's advantage to this is that we have a site at Northview Park. We have a site at West Milford that just work together at that, where the kids are in Energy Express. They will get dropped off at that site. They'll do their program during the day, then at noon or after lunch. Then they can filter in and go into the to a summer parks program that we already operate.
Then we'll be coming to you when we offer summer playground sites at some other places. We're also working with the school board with some innovative programs that might be adjacent, complementary to Energy Express, because we're going to be limited.
So you've applied for a $45,000 grant.
We will with your all approval.
Just to lay testimony on this, I know Mike's not going to say it because I'm going to brag about it, but you know, when I first started working here and, you know, coming up here, get acclimated and meeting, you know, there'd be times where people just come off the street and see Mike and run across the street, Mr. Book, Mr. Book, Mr. Book, how are you? And they'll say, I'm, you know, so-and-so, and I was a part of this, you know, this Energy Express program when it first started, or I've been a Parks kid since we were growing up. And, you know, and they just talk about what a difference that those summers were because of something like that. So, you know, to kind of give kudos to my boss up here, it's been a great program. It's been successful, and not just with our summer parks program, but his county representation as far as what's going on with the Energy Express as well. So
Jessica even ran into one of our mentors.
I did out at law school. Allison.
When's the program start?
June 14th, somewhere in that range. That's when the mentors start. And it's a 6-week program. It'll end in
This is
July.
basically going to be in next year's budget.
It can be. And we get this year. We have the option, since we didn't use a lot of the money, we could ask for the billing cycle ahead of time. So it'll be a decision. Normally, it is in next year's budget.
there is an option. You can either prepay it at the beginning or wait until the end. And what that does, it does overlap into the 2021 budget or 21-22 budget, just whatever.
I would like to pose to my fellow commissioners that we look at what's in their budget as it winds up at the end of the year and where their budget will be potentially next year, and it's entirely up to them and you all, but if there's money to expand this program to another location and if they feel it's viable, I would like to see that done if the money's there. Do we need to get you started on the grant today?
If
Can
it's
it wait a
possible.
week?
There's a lot of signature pages and things to get.
Does the grant, will the grant, that's the limit, is the 45,000?
It's not, but they said the funding cycle is so low this year that they want to spread the money around the state. And they are looking at some other options if they find WVU is thinking about adding some money to it. If they do that, then they'll be able to come back to us and say, go ahead and apply for an additional site.
Can we apply
They
for
just
some, can we
hired a new
apply for
director.
this now?
Yeah.
And then if something else comes, can
Definitely,
it be looked at then?
definitely.
So I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and apply for the grant. But today or as soon as possible for this program, and then I'd like for them to come back with what money they still have in their budget and reevaluate whether we can do more with the program.
No questions? Okay, everybody's heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you,
good
guys.
job, guys. Okay, number 9, review, discuss, consider letter of support for industrial road grant from Harrison County Commission. I'm not sure exactly where this came from or what it's about completely. No, I don't have it with me at this
I'll
point.
get back to you.
This is part of what's required so that we can finish up the last paperwork on the grant for the Harrison County Regional Industrial Park that the commission supports. Yes, Patsy.
Is that going into where the new marijuana place will be?
It'll be going into Harvest Medical and to a 50,000 square foot shell building.
Now, let me ask you, when we had our presentation the other day, is not part of the deal that they would do the infrastructure in turn, that we would give them a $700 and some thousand piece of property?
They do all the work and we go in and finish up the asphalt and finish the road over to the shell building.
But is this double dipping? I mean, is this a one-time grant this year?
All industrial road access grants are one.
Okay, when the email said that the Harrison County Commission designates the Harrison Regional Industrial Park, when did we decide that?
That's what we're talking about doing today.
Could this money go elsewhere? I mean, we're gonna give them a piece of property.
This has nothing to do with it has to do with the park. It's not with the people that are presently building.
But again, we allocated and froze $1.4 million. And it was my understanding that the Economic Development Authority couldn't do that because they don't own the land. And that's how it came to us as a commission, because we own land, so we have to apply for it, right? Through ML, right?
Right, and this is to finish it up, to try to reduce any outlay that would have to be borrowed. This just is another form of grant to reduce at the end going to the state to borrow money.
But what if we wanted to put this somewhere else, other than, I mean, I appreciate what we're doing on 279, but
If we
it's a big county.
don't do this, then we'll probably go ahead and I can't guarantee that we'll get the grant to finish the park and put up the 50,000 square foot building.
So why didn't we know this? When was it? Was it Amy and,
Because
And
it's
the mayor
something
was
that
here?
was requested when they looked at the final number and they worked with ML on the grant. That was where the final thing came in, was to help to reduce the cost.
So what's the cost for the county here? And I
I
mean,
think about 20% of the industrial road access.
what if there's a need for an industrial road somewhere else in the county? We can't get one for another, we can't apply for one for another year.
One a year.
So you're saying that even though we allocated the $1.4 million the other day, so that we could proceed with that, if we don't do this 250,000, if we don't allow them to double dip, the whole thing's gonna fold.
I'm not sure I understand the word double dip here. Where are they double dipping?
Well, they're
This is
getting,
a state grant.
well, it has to be a state grant, because for one thing, we know that the Harvest Medical can't get a federal grant because it's marijuana, that's technically illegal on the federal level. But
Okay, this is putting in an industrial access road into the Harrison County Regional Development Park. It
okay,
has
Which
nothing,
will help Harvest, what help?
it,
Does it lead to the
it-
Harvest?
it leads to the Harvest, and it leads to 8 other acres, and it leads to a 50,000 square foot shell building that we already have somebody that's given us a commitment letter, which they explained last meeting, that once the building, when it's completed, it will allow them access to the 50,000 square foot building, and then allow access to the 3 acres that are still there to either be sold or expanded on.
so what did Blue Rock or the medical marijuana pull out?
You still have a road to your access part.
Will we then be on the hook for the $1.4 million?
No, because
But you'll be on hook for the 20% of this, correct?
if we go through with it, we have presently, Gina, how much are we sitting on the hook for with industrial road access grants that have not been done?
It's over $200,000.
See, that's my question.
we
If we're
can add-
sitting on money for other roads, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
We
once
get a
they-
grant for a road and what happens? What's the issue?
That money
Why does
sits
it
there,
stop?
and I had that discussion with Charleston. Because what initially.
Because that was
we
my
wanted-
understanding.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to see if we could move that money to another project, which we could not.
They won't
But if
allow.
that,
We've tried for 3 years to move it.
yeah, but if that project's not going to happen, then ultimately the money that was allocated for that grant will be just put back in
To the
the
state
pot of
pool.
money into the system. But you're allowed to ask for up to $400,000 a year unmatched, and then the $150,000 of matched, 50/50. So it'd be like a $700 project, you could get $550,000.
Okay, now let me ask you something else. Did I not hear something that somebody was gonna pay for infrastructure? Or was gonna do the infrastructure out there? Is this not
They're
considered
doing it.
infrastructure? I guess I don't.
They're doing the infrastructure in turn, we're gonna give them a $700,000-800,000 piece of property that we bought as a commission.
But that's gonna happen irregardless of,
No, that only happens if all this comes to fruition, because they're not gonna do anything unless we do this. So what we've done is we've bought jobs. Because, and I mean, it's good that we're doing this, and this is what
Right.
government does, but anybody could have done this, Clay County could have done it if they'd have spent $700,000, $800,000, then turned to Robert Matheny LLC and said, Robert, here, we're gonna give this to you, here, give us 80 jobs, you'd be like, heck, yeah. So, well, I mean, yeah, I guess we gotta move forward on it. I mean, we're in a rock and a hard place, but
but
from
now
now
let me
on-
ask you this, is this it? Do we know if there's gonna be any other requirements that we
Yeah.
are gonna need, any more money that's gonna have to be held up or paid, or is there any way to know that?
The development court is continuously looking for grants to reduce that 1.4 million.
That's not my question. My question is, are there gonna be any other requirements that we are gonna have to do to accomplish what the development court is doing? Are we gonna do this and then we're gonna come back with another grant that we're gonna have to meet? Do we anticipate this? Is this, I mean,
This is the last one that I
are you
know about.
sure?
Yep.
Positive.
All this did,
Sorry, but
all this did was
we just
reduce
keep
the
coming
1.4
back and wanting more and more and more, and we're,
million.
It
So
did-
I guess every time they can find a grant If it's for another 100,000 and it costs 10 to get it, that's one less bit of money that when the project's done, that has to be financed through the state economic development.
I think what's important to me though is that we remember as a commission that while what we're doing on Interstate 279 is fabulous.
Right.
It's a big county. And we have other entities that need help and opportunity. And other people are investing their own private dollars in the Harrison County to make this show go here. And the only time we help anybody is when we use our own tax dollars. We can't use our tax dollars as a piggy bank to create every job in the county because other people are doing it with their money and we have to reach out to them and help them sometimes. And we've got to, and Gina, we got to shift our focus that maybe there's somebody else that's creating jobs besides just taxpayers.
Oh, I understand that.
And you know, the three of us have got to, you know,
Listen, Patsy, for the last 2 years, nobody applied for industrial road access from anywhere in this county. And then when they did apply, they applied at the last second and the state laughed at it and tossed it out.
okay. Well, let's start working on that now then.
Yeah, we can't wait till the last minute.
We'll start working on 2022 now, okay? And I'll help, and we all need to let private investors know that this opportunity is
They
there.
know it's there because I've talked with them and the issue's always been is that they can never see what they want to do with it. And when they find out how they understand how it works, Patsy, is that it can't go to a designated spot and dead end.
Okay.
And they have to turn their property over to the state of West Virginia. You can't own it.
Well,
So it becomes
So this
a
gets
state
turned
road.
over to the state.
So it
Just the
becomes a
road,
state
just the
just the
road.
roads.
Okay,
Which
okay.
they don't want to own anyway.
So once
Right.
it's done, the county's out, everybody's out, it's a
And they-
state road, state maintained road. So it's a win-win, but a lot of developers don't want to give up their highway because then they can't do what they want as far as the road goes. If they need to cut it or move something, they're at the mercy of the state. So it cuts both ways.
And Commissioner Hinkle, if I may say, one important factor in this grant too is that the Department of Highways has to see the plan and they have to already have approved it.
Yep.
And that was another issue with the past one that I done. They had no idea of the project. They never saw the plans. So it's very important that they're aware and the development office is aware of it and that they approve that plan of that road.
Thanks, Gina.
Any further discussion?
Motion approved.
Okay. Motion to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. Consider hiring engineering firm, number 10. Hiring engineering firm to develop 2 pieces of property recently purchased by Harrison County from airport.
These 2 plats you're looking at are acreage that was just bought up by Rish. Part of it was bought 2 years ago, and the other was just recently. The Development Corp has a person interested in 10 acres of flat land up there, which can be made. They're presently working on getting another contract signed. And we need to look at what it's going to cost to make the land flat. Because at this point, we are out of development property. And this company wants access to I-79 within a mile.
So what are you saying?
To continue forward with this project, we have to hire somebody to tell us what's it's going to cost to develop it.
Who's going to pay for it?
The county is, and then we can try to go back and bring the money back in through the grant that we would apply for the development.
I think for one, I'm just gonna say this, I think we need to slow down a little bit. I'm all for development. But let's do one development and then look at this later on down the road. We've got to, I mean, is that building still empty on Route 50?
That building is, belongs to the airport, doesn't involve the county.
I understand that, but
It
it's still
has-
empty
it
and it's
has
been,
three
that land
different-
was developed.
It has 3 different people looking at it, and it was developed with grant money.
I get that, David. And now here we're on the hook for $50,000 over here. Now, how much is something, I mean, I'm hearing, I don't know, that there is a huge cost to flattening land, for lack of a better term. And that's what you can use tax dollars for. Again, what Patsy said a while ago. Can we not look somewhere else in the county and see if there's,
It's already been looked at, and they want along 279.
well,
If we
I
want-
want $1
if we
million
want-
too, and I can't have it, so.
If we want the jobs, that's where they
Okay.
want to be.
Okay.
It's 200 jobs, so it's a decision that needs to be made so that
Has
they
it
can
been signed?
begin.
Is it in black and white that it's 200 jobs?
I said they're working on the agreement, but we don't know what the costs are, or whether we can even do what they need done up there until we hire somebody to look at it and give us an opinion on what it will cost. So it might be a $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 investment.
Well, I, for one, am not ready to make a decision on something like this. And the more I think about things like this coming to us, and we're to make decisions within 10 minutes at the most, these are huge decisions to make. I think we need to come up with a plan to talk about this stuff. I don't know if it's a work session, and so we have time to gather information. I am not anywhere near ready to make any kind of decision on something like this, and I know where I'm pretty, I've been obvious, probably where I'm leading, but Mr. Treecost?
You know, I just, again, it's taxpayers' money going in, and, you know, it goes back to the, you know, I'll take Hepzibah, for example, guys, and I'll be honest with you. And you drive by and your cruiser constantly, there's a building getting ready to fall over the road beside the post office in Hepzibah. I've asked to get it tore down. The family wants to give it to us. That money, well, for some reason, they can't get done, but yet we can develop 279 with taxpayers' money. But the community of Hepzibah, the only thing that matters to them isn't 279 in these jobs, it's the building leaning over into Route 19 and the whole community wants it done. Our focus has to become broader. And it's so small on the scope, but to the people of Hepzibah, they just want that building torn down. And our planning department won't do it or can't do it, but I'm gonna figure out why. And this is another example. Again, Susan, nothing going into the county. I understand the jobs, but it's the sole burden of falling for job creation doesn't fall on the taxpayers. Quite frankly, it doesn't have to, because it doesn't, because there are people investing in our county. There are entrepreneurs in our county. We have some very wealthy people in this county because they're good business people.
Well, I'll make a suggestion to both of you that you might start attending the development court meetings. And maybe you'll get a better understanding of how this works. Because this company has already been to all these private developers and have looked at all the property and came back to the development court and put a pin where they want to be. If we don't want them in Harrison County, then we need to let them know. And that's what I'm hearing today is that we're gonna worry about $10,000 or $15,000 to look at whether or not 200 jobs can come to Harrison County.
No, David,
The $10,000 here, $20,000 there, $40,000 there, it starts adding up. And I think we need to take a long, hard look at our finances,
and to tell you the
for
truth,
one.
when we
And it's not that I don't want jobs, I'm all for jobs. But we also have to
take care
be
of
good
Hepzibah,
stewards of the
Maybe the
taxpayers'
people
dollars.
at Hepzibah would like to have some of those 200 new jobs that would come in.
you know, David, really, they just want the building falling into Route 19 tore down. And I'll be honest with you, maybe I do need to attend the meetings, but the concern I have about that is after that 8-minute presentation where we agreed to freeze $1.4 million, and I was so astounded that we made a decision on $1.4 million after an 8-minute presentation, that I started asking the people on these boards. And three of the people that are on the board looked at me like we didn't know that they were gonna make the presentation to you. So,
I guess maybe
today the
they-
people don't know what's going on.
Maybe they need to attend the meetings too.
Maybe they do.
Maybe you've got a person here that attends the meetings all the time and stays totally involved with the development court and has made it an issue to do that for the commission.
Well, let's call the question.
Well, what's the question? I've already forgotten. Did you make a motion, David?
A motion to go out for bid to hire an engineering firm to give us a cost of what it's gonna take to develop this property on the south side of 279.
Do I need to restate the motion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
No,
No. It's past 10:30. You want us to finish this one or do you want to do it now?
Up to you, everybody's here.
Okay.
If you want to do it.
Get her done.
You're up.
Okay, we'll do this in rank order. Lieutenant?
You're good. Okay, maybe good. Probably in the center, but you're good. Sorry, they put wire there. I didn't realize that. You're good.
You want to step off of that there, Lindsay? I don't want you to fall off of it.
Yeah.
Want you to step over?
Yeah.
We won't
Get
walk.
over it.
We won't make fun of you, Dick, really.
Well, that'll cost me.
Okay. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of West Virginia,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of lieutenant for the Harrison County Sheriff's Office
the duties of lieutenant for the Harrison County Sheriff's Office
to the best of my skill and judgment, so help me God.
to the best of my skill and judgment, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anybody you guys want to take? I guess we normally take this recess for pictures. You want to do that? Sure.
Real short, I just want to thank everybody for coming here and supporting me. Especially want to thank my wife Leslie, who has helped me solve many of my cases. She never gets mad when I have case files strewn throughout the house on her
she
table.
gets
so
mad.
I really do appreciate that. And thank you.
I will. I'll speak on Dixon and then we'll come back and talk about Eric once he's sworn in. But, I could be more proud to see Dixon become part of our command staff at the Sheriff's Office. And, professional growth and personal growth, it's just exciting for me as the sheriff to see the deputies come up through and some of the challenges. Going to be a big void to fill in the detective unit now that Dixon's moving into a command position. But what's exciting is he'll bring some freshness into the new position he's going in, and whoever replaces him brings a little freshness into that. So it's evolving, and it's really great for an agency, for morale, for building the agency to see promotions. And these guys, Dixon, they've worked for this. It's not something that's just handed to them, and they mold their career for that. So I'm excited, Dixon, welcome to the command staff. I know that you'll make great sound decisions and judgment, and you'll help carry the sheriff's office long after me into doing great things. And thank you for being part of that. And we're very proud of you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thanks, Sheriff.
You didn't get
Dixon, you need to have one of those in that picture.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and the Constitution of the State of West Virginia,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Sergeant for Harrison County Sheriff's Office.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Sergeant for Harris County Sheriff's Department.
He said department wrong. To the best of my skill and judgment, so help me God.
To the best of my skill and judgment, so help me God.
Congratulations. You wish to say anything, Eric?
Other than just appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to this next step in my law enforcement career, and just like to thank everybody for their support and confidence that the sheriff has in me to be able to do this. Other than that, I'm grateful. Thank you.
I agree with Eric. This is a big step in his next step, and this is the future of our agency. You know, our first line supervisors come up, they'll mold, they'll set examples. The less tenure deputies will look up to them for advice and guidance. And I couldn't think of a better deputy for them to look up to. So I know you'll do great things. There'll be a little learning curve, but very proud of you, and I'm excited for your future. Congratulations.
Susan, here's this with the, that's the quote with the quote now. From your attorney. I don't know if the, okay, he's got a stack over here.
Yeah, that's a little wrong.
Came with item 11.
Here, I don't have
You
it.
got it, okay.
Okay.
Is this something?
Well, what one did we, okay. And I guess we can, what's the other? I thought we discussed the two of them.
No, ma'am.
Okay, what's the other piece of property?
It
And you
is
can make your motion. Unless Mr. Treehouse has any further questions.
52 acre parcel across from 279 to go out to find an engineering firm to look at the cost to develop it. Because again, presently, there is no building sites available on 279.
I have no questions.
So my motion is to go out and advertise for an engineering firm to look at the cost to develop 52 acres on the north side of 279 that the county owns.
Do I need to restate the motion, Mr. Treehouse?
No.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any,
Aye.
any opposed? No. Number 11, discuss, consider certain appointments to boards and committees by the county commission.
This is, I think this is what I talked about last week, and I did see our attorney's letter. It just reinstates that on January 6th, when we had voted on the Board of Commissions, that it can be Mike Jenkins because we have the authority to appoint as well as the remove. And so from this point on, it can go ahead and be Mike Jenkins unless you want to change.
No,
your idea.
I have no wish to change.
So that is confirmed then.
I don't believe there's any further action to take on that.
Mhm.
Okay. Commissioner comments?
You all have not handled appointing other,
Oh, those board, yes, you are correct. There are 4, I believe, boards that Mr. Hinkle wishes not to serve on.
6.
Oh, there's 6.
Take whatever you want, Susan, and I'll, Madam President, and I'll take the others.
Well, it doesn't really matter to me. I guess we can work this out, but we need to make
Next
sure.
vote on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, if I can find them. Yeah, I got it. I got it. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Take the top 3, give me the bottom 3.
Okay, so,
Jessica, will you let me know what they are?
so you're taking the, what did you say
I'll
now?
take the bottom 3.
Okay, so
I'll let you.
it will be Patsy or me for Area Council on Aging, Region 6, Harrison County Juvenile Crime Enforcement Coalition. So you're not going to serve on the local elected,
No, ma'am.
okay, local elected officials board. And Commissioner Treecost on Harrison County Emergency Ambulance Authority,
Okay.
Region 6 Workforce Investment Board, and Region 6 Planning and Development Council.
Motion to approve you taking the top 3 and me with the Region 6, and the Harrison County Emergency.
Is that it?
I'd just like to note that the attorney, his last paragraph, that being said, a caution to practice within the Harrison County Development Corp has been for appointees to work out their appointed terms as indicated. I envision the norm so that projects and process are fulfilled and completed. This practical consideration should also be given weight. I wanted noted that my 2 fellow commissioners did not give this weight and did not inquire or ask of any projects that this commissioner was involved in and where they stood before they removed him.
Well, it would have been nice to know that information prior, but we were never,
Mr.
Very
Treecost
true
has
to
been
that.
on the commission for 2 years, and I can't remember more than maybe 2 meetings that he's attended.
okay, we're going to move on to number 12. Commissioner comments and questions.
Oh, I'll
You have
let
any,
you two before I make any.
Okay. Mine are actually things that I asked for when I was the county clerk, concerning Shinston's polling place or precinct lines being changed. I would like for that to be on the agenda for next week. And I've had the discussion with Commissioner Hinkle regarding reduction of the county precincts. So at a canvas, we would only count 2 precincts versus 1. And John and I have looked at that. We looked at that prior to me becoming commissioner, and we can continue to look at that. So I think those 2 could be done together. Now, if I could read my writing. The unprogressed estate issue, I believe it only needs the order needs to be signed so they can be published. And then at a later time, we will set a date. Is that correct, John?
That is correct.
Okay. So if we could see that that order gets put on the agenda for next week, and the Canarelli estate that John sent this email to Willie, so. Does it need a hearing date?
It does. The petitionary committee have recused themselves, so maybe appoint sheriff, et cetera, but yeah, need a hearing set.
Okay. So can you see that happens? And we need at least 30 days to get a notice. Okay, I did have the unprogressed dates. And this was a year ago that we discussed, that it was discussed at this meeting. There was a truck that was donated to the county from the CCC. And I believe the information, this was given to Regina prior to her passing. The title and all other information. I would like for somebody to look into that and find out where this is at. They've been here a couple times requesting that truck get titled so they can use it in parades. And I would like to see that move forward, please. I'm done.
Hey, John, I got an email, and I know you guys have worked so hard on the internet. Like, does Elizabeth and everybody have their internet now? Everybody's internet's good to go? Okay, okay. Jess, I want to put you on the spot, and Willie's been handling it. Any update on the window on the sixth floor? Has it been replaced?
I had a quote that Willie had from last week. That quote he presented. Other than that, I have not received any updates, but I'm more than happy to talk to Mr. Dale and get you an answer.
If I need to call city window, somebody tell me. I will do that to get this done.
Okay,
Okay.
I can have Greg come up here right now if you want.
Yeah.
And I've not heard of anything, but that doesn't
And
necessarily.
that's not towards you, but this has been lingering and lingering. It needs to get done.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I'm starting to wonder if we had a window break, does it just stay broken at the courthouse forever? I'm starting to wonder. And the other thing, didn't any word from Judge Matish on?
No, sir. We have not received any word, and they have been notified.
Go ahead and tell Willie, I'm gonna go ahead and make that phone call myself to the judge.
Yes, sir.
And
What phone call?
to ask the judge how much space he needs in probate. And then the other thing is now that we have Trey, get with Trey and our attorney and see if he can then work with planning. The family has agreed to give us the piece of property in Hepzibah. We have the money in the budget to demo it. Once we demo it, then we can turn it over to, Rocky to collect any debt on it, and then we can sell it. And we want to get in the routine of this, Mr. Attorney, because.
Now I can speak to that now if you want.
Please.
Yes, so you're talking about the Pursley property.
Mhm.
Yeah, the demo cost for Pursley was approximately $100,000, which is outside the norm of what we have done historically.
No, I think I'm talking about the house beside the post office.
I'm talking about the old bank.
No, we're talking about two different things.
Okay,
There's a house falling into Route 19 that I've been working on with planning for about
Oh, that's,
okay. What's
I'm
the,
interested in that.
what's the name on that property?
State planning has the information.
Okay,
And I've spoken to the family and we're on it. It's part of the $10,000 scale that you,
would be comfortable moving forward. Yeah, okay. Do you want me to follow up on the Pursley property?
If you,
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah. The Pursley property was sold for taxes. It's a 3-time loser at the tax
it's held in
sale.
the state,
I say sold, it was technically tried to be sold. Nobody bought it, so the state's holding it. The gentleman in North Carolina in Charlotte is willing to transfer title to the county. However, that'll be the quickest way to do it, because if we took it from the auditor, we'd have to go through the 18-month redemption process. The quickest way is to take title, but the cost to remediate that property was approximately $100,000, which would really put a huge dent in your all's fund. So he's hot to give it to us, but we're not gonna do that until you all make that decision.
It's the best thing he could do.
I know, it is the best thing you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then the other thing I have is I did see the email where the lump sum for the work identified for the 609 and the 633 property, one equal 9,000 and one equal 10,000. Make sure that's part of the $400,000 total. I don't want those two buildings to exceed that. And one may have to take a pinch for the other, but it is what it is. I mean,
So let's put that on the next agenda, please.
yeah, put it on the next agenda. Matter of fact, just go ahead and put on the agenda, Jess, that those two projects are not to exceed $400,000. The amount of the loan. Okay. That's all I have, Madam President.
Mr. Engel?
If I may. Mr. Dale, do you have an update on the window?
Yes, it's my understanding that we're waiting on the court to give its blessing for that.
Who was supposed to find that out?
From what I understand, Mr. Parker has
Okay.
submitted that email and we're waiting on a response.
The court's waiting on the court to give you permission to change out the window?
Yes,
Well, we in the building, the commission,
yeah.
change out the window.
I don't think we can.
We cannot. Judge, again, it's in emails. We are not to touch the window until he approves it.
Okay. Okay, well, this is week 3.
We are not allowed to talk to the judge about the window. Because
Has a
if
letter
we
been
are,
sent to the judge or an email been
the
sent to the
letter
judge?
cannot be sent to the judge. The letter was sent to our attorney.
Has our attorney done anything with that information?
You would have to talk to Mr. Parker, but Mr.
Can
Parker
you-
sent us all an
Can you
email
follow up on that?
that the information had been sent to our attorney to talk to the judge.
I can attest to that. I did see that email.
Oh, I did too, but I just am curious as
And,
to where our attorney is with that.
Judge does not have to approve what we've offered. Until the judge does that, we cannot change the window.
Can we send an invitation for Judge to possibly meet with us at his convenience?
I'm gonna let our attorney explain that
Yeah, I think it has
we
to go
are under a
through.
court order and we are in a case with the judge and we are not supposed to talk to the judge personally about the case.
Yeah, I haven't seen the order, but it certainly practice would be to go through the attorney to the court. And that's what we need to do.
You're exactly right, and everything you said is true. But how we got to this point is ridiculous. So we could have changed out the window years ago. So while we're going to go do follow it to the T now, which I want you to as our attorney, and we want you to as a body of the commission, this never had to get here. So please proceed forward, and anything you can do to help this, I would appreciate. I would love it to be resolved.
I had talked to Mr. Henderson. He came, looked at it. We went out on the roof. It's an easy place to get to. There's gonna be a little work. The estimate is a worst case scenario. But at the time, they were working on a big project in Wheeling, so I sent an email out to him and I haven't heard back, but it ultimately, whenever we get the okay to do it, we can proceed forward, but we're waiting on a response from what I understand.
Well,
Thanks, Greg.
I would like to express on Commissioner Treecost that we do own the building. And we did put a window in that met specifications for our building. It did not meet specifications of the judge. Judge wanted a different window. We purchased a window that could be put in quicker and cheaper. The judge wanted one that took longer and cost more. Now we're talking about moving a window from the office of his recorders. And I'm sure we'll have to get a blessing from him to move that window. So I'm not sure if this just isn't a point of wasted time until you find a window that doesn't fall under his purview of what he can say and what he can't on what window we use. So I'm not sure if we just aren't wasting time until you find another window that doesn't affect his employees.
Yeah.
I think if we just figure out where the attorneys are with this.
Who's the attorney?
Who is, what's his name?
Patrick Henry
I'll give him a call.
from
Thanks, Trey.
Martinsburg.
Yep, I'll call him.
The reason I looked at that solution because it's roughly the same size and just because of the time frame and the contempt of court charge, I was asked to look at what the quickest thing was. So that's, so
Sounds good to me.
whatever you all decide, I'd be more than happy to do. That's where we're at, why we're there.
Greg, I can only speak for myself. I've decided whatever Judge Patish wants for that window, do it. Just want this to be over with. That's all somebody needs to slip a note to him. If it's illegal, don't do it. And let him know whatever the heck he wants is done.
I'll call Mr. Henry in Martinsburg. See what's
Okay.
going on.
Can we move on from this subject?
Yep.
Okay.
I want to thank IT for helping get a little bit better done with Zoom on our meeting today. Hopefully everybody was able to hear us better. I'd still like to see the other TV brought in. IT has told me that there's a 100-inch TV sitting out of Parks and Rec in a storage room that hasn't been used in years. I don't know if we want something that size in here, but it would definitely give us a big screen to see things on. And I think that's it.
Motion adjourned.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Oh, no, wait a minute. I have one question. Jim Copenhaver, are you on the call? Still?
He's getting unmuted.
Yes, ma'am, I'm on the call, and so is the Paul Buck director.
I saw this Bearcom requisition and I'm sure you're already aware, I asked Jessica about it. That's why I believe you're here. How long have you been out of?
That's been kind of a long story there, and I'll go ahead and, can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear.
Okay. When we moved, the state was approaching a system upgrade on the statewide radio system. At that time, they didn't feel that we weren't ready and we weren't comfortable moving the gear out of that place. And it's just a network portion of it, essentially. The microwave goes from PK Hill down to Nutter Fort, and then we jump on fiber and run the rest of the radio system in our county that way. It wasn't the opportune point with an upgrade coming up to move all that then. That upgrade was completed in the summer, and we've been banding around trying to figure out the best way to do it. And that's why we're a year and a half into, we're almost 2 years now, into not getting that gear out of there. We were waiting for the state to finish an upgrade before we moved our gear.
Well, that's what caught my eye. That's why I asked the question.
There's no doubt in my mind, none whatsoever.
Hey, Jim, will you have 2 people hired by the end of January? Jim,
Yes, sir.
you have 2 people hired by the end of February?
We're actually short more than 2 people. We're trying to fill all of our vacant spots. We've run into some technical problems with the email being down and my notes being in that email that was allowing me to facilitate the hiring process. Between that and some COVID matters, we're a little behind, more than a little, a bit behind. We're playing catch up now. Hopefully I can have interviews and names submitted to the commission by the middle or towards the end of February. That is my goal, sir.
All right, that's a good goal. Let's make it happen.
Sooner if possible.
Jessica? on
Absolutely.
next week, would you, have Mr. Parker come in and explain our financial status to the commission so that we can determine where we stand? There seems to be some issues with, where we stand financially, and I'd like to get those cleared up and where this commission plans on spending its money the rest of the year and for what projects.
And we need to put the levy on the radar too as well, if we. And that's all, I'm stopping right now. That's it, me. I'm done. Has he done?
Yes.
David?
Motion here.
Motion carried.
Sir, you will have to get with one of them or the economic development. I can't go over that letter with you and anything that's going on with Harvest Medical. I've been removed from that. So you'll have to get with Patsy and Susan on how they'd like to finish that up.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, motion was made. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.